Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second part of this webinar series. In today's session, we are going to talk about checklist and live ring button. We will learn from the experience of our customer FitnessPlayer, who got an amazing onboarding flow and great results, so you can take inspiration from them. We will share insights, tips and tricks, and there is going to be a lot of practical stuff. So I hope you guys will enjoy today and you will stay with me. And as per we just started and people are coming in, I would recommend to start testing the Q&A section. We have a button that is for communication and is actually the Q&A one. So if you want to test it with me, we can check if it actually works so you can learn how to send questions and communicate through the webinar. And to do so, I would suggest to, as usual, to share where you are located. And so we will check if it works. And I'll go first. I can tell you that I'm located in the Czech Republic, and I'm here because it's where Product Fruits was created. And from there, from the Czech Republic, we spread worldwide. Now we have hundreds of customers. Oh, I can see that we have Nancy. I might be mistaken, but maybe Nancy was here during the first part of this webinar. So if so, welcome back. And I can see there is also Joyce from the Philippines. I'm very glad, guys, that you are participating today for us. It means a lot. So thanks for that. And I can imagine that we have, probably like here in the Czech Republic now is 4 p.m., but maybe for you it's not that time. So thanks also for the effort of being here. And I'm also glad that the Q&A button is working. So for sure, we will be able to listen to your curiosity or questions or even concern, or maybe if you will have suggestion, it will be great if you want to share it, because today is going to be very practical, and it will be nice for everybody in the webinar to get to know others people's experience as well. I think it's going to be very, useful for all of you. But yeah, I think it's already 2 minutes. Maybe we can start having a look at the agenda of today. And okay, I will just remind to everybody again that if you want to ask questions, please use the Q&A section in the horizontal bar. And you can use it anytime during the session, right? Because the chat is not available. And of course, if you want to, instead of sending questions, you want to, maybe just add a reaction, you also have that option, so you can send us, whatever your heart is saying. So, but let's go to the agenda for now. It's a very short one. And as I said, it's going to be very practical. We will start just with a short introduction about our customer FitnessPlayer, because their onboarding experience has been fantastic. They had great results. So I hope you will get the right inspiration from them. And after that, we are going to check how to create a checklist. We will have time for questions, and then we will build the live ring button that some of you also know as a help center. And in the end, there is going to be extra time for questions. So at the end of the webinar, for sure, you will be covered. So don't worry and stay with me so we can check immediately what is the FitnessPlayer application about and why their experience is so successful. So let's get in there. This one is a FitnessPlayer application. And as you can see on the screen, it's a very simple application with a very nice onboarding flow. I'm going to show you. They are using tooltips, as you can see on the screen, tours, of course, and the checklist, and the live ring button. And the reason why they are using so many features and the combination of them is because at the very beginning of their experience, they were having issue with churn. You need to know that FitnessPlayer is a leader in their field. They are about creating music playlists for fitness trainers and their studios and their gyms. So they were having a lot of users because they are leader in Sweden and in the UK, so you can imagine, right? But still, they were having issue with the acquisition of users. And that's why they decided to approach Product Fruits. And as we saw last time, the onboarding flow was very successful. They reduced churn of 70% and they doubled their conversion. And the power of their onboarding flow is the combination of these elements. So if you missed the first part of this webinar, they was talking about tours and the hints as were using them. You can watch it on our website. It's productfruits.com. But today we are moving to the checklist and the live ring button. So we can have a closer look to those features and you will know how to combine everything and have, as well as FitnessPlayer, amazing results. So let's check it together right now. Let's start from the checklist. As you can see on the screen, we have the button, the launcher, and the window itself. And this is the checklist. And if you are not familiar with it, I can tell you that the checklist is actually like an organizer for task-driven content, meaning is a container for feature tours or video tutorials. And in addition to those content, there is also a progression bar where the user can see the progressions that they are making in learning and experiencing your application. And this is great because it allows your users to have a track of their progresses and also to keep being motivated. So they were unlikely to churn at the very beginning of their experience because this is something that commonly happens. Also, you can dedicate a checklist to the new user, as we are saying, so for acquisition purposes, but also you can dedicate a checklist for retention. And I'm sure somewhere between you guys, there is somebody that is struggling, not just with the acquisition, but also with the retention. So no worries, because in any stage you are, we will get you covered. And something that is also very important to remember is that you can always start using checklists for acquisition. And then when your user gets familiar with your product and they are already having, kind of a good learning curve of it, you can also design for them a checklist for retention. Is there anybody that is struggling with retention for the users? If so, guys, don't hesitate. You can also write us in the Q&A button if maybe you are, already experienced some, concern, or if you have questions about it, because it will be nice for everybody to hear each other's experience. But right now, I'm gonna show you how to create one. I hope I will also show you how, before creating one, let me show you how it works in details. So maybe it's easier to see the potential of this feature. If I click in here, you will see that this is a feature tour. And as you can see, I cannot start anything by clicking in here because the content is locked. And the reason why there is a locker is because FitnessPlayer decided to have this content in a very given order. And the reason is the following. They decided very carefully 3 feature tours that they want their users to use as first action when they land on their application, so they can immediately see the value of it. And those 3 feature tours, the experience have to experience them in a given order. So they will have exactly the process that will bring them to create a playlist. So let me show you. If I click on the first tour, exactly we have we have the first tour. There is an action that they have to complete. I'm doing it right now with you. So let's create a webinar. And this playlist, I call it webinar, but you can see that out of my silly example, you can see that as soon as the tour was completed, it was marked out and the progression bar advanced. So already the motivation of the user is starting because they can see that they are doing well and the progresses are coming. So if I go for the second tour, again, I'm following the instruction. let's look for, well, I will look for Adele. No, who doesn't like Adele, right? And now I want to add songs to the playlist. So let's, guys, look with me what happens now, because this is the last part of the tour. You can see that the bar is almost at the end. So if I, as a user, if I go through the last tour, so I'm gonna add my Adele song to the playlist. So I will put it here. I will choose another one. Let's take this one. And guys, let me know if you have questions meantime. And you know, and yeah, we have another one. And from here, I'm following still the instruction. You can see how real, like, this is the real tour that FitnessPlayer is using for their users. It's very easy and very straightforward. And this is the last card. So now, as soon as I hit the next button, you will see what happens to the checklist. So I'm closing, and ta-da! The user will have a nice congratulations message. And together with this one, you can also think about continuing the experience. And for example, if I go to the main page, they will have this other card, this other small tour that will ask them for the feedback. And, you know, this is a great moment for you to gather their intention, to understand, are they enjoying the experience? Was the checklist and the feature tours that you created effective enough to let them stay with you and not churn? So all those steps all together can make a big difference. So for this reason, I hope you're going to stay with me now, because we can actually create a checklist together. It's a very simple process. So just follow me. And of course, if you don't want to create a checklist right now with me, you can just watch, and you will have the recording of the session at the end of it. So no worries, you can enjoy it as you prefer. And to start creating, we will move to the administrator page of Product Fruits, that you also have it when you enter your credential. You will get to this page. I already created the workspace, so I'm getting into it. And we have to go to create a checklist to the widget section, and we can select it. So you will see now. I have already one example in here. I call it created advanced playlist. And the reason because I want to create an advanced playlist is because I want to show you also how to create a checklist for retention. So even if you guys are, you know, wondering how to create one for retention, we will also give you advice. Because so I will explain you the menu first, and then we will go into details. We have 3 sections. The first one is the launcher settings. So it defines how the checklist will start, and it also defines the segmentation. The second menu is about the item that you want to place inside. So it's usually tours or video tutorials. And the third menu is about the descriptions and also the last congratulations message, the one with the confetti at the end. So I will suggest you to start from the very beginning, because it will be easier to build a checklist. So section 1. We will start by adding a title. The title is the one that the user will see. So I recommend to choose something very simple, and that gives them immediately the idea of what is contained in your checklist. After that, you will decide how the user will navigate through your content. Meaning that if you place in here the feature tours, they can, for example, as in the FitnessPlayer example, the content was locked. So if you remember, I couldn't click on the second element if I didn't go through the first one first. So this option is very good for the onboarding, because you don't want your new users to go randomly through your content. They really need clear directions. But as in this case, if we are creating a checklist for retention, in that case, it will be better to give your user more, more flexibility, more freedom, so they can explore as they want. They also will feel empowered by this choice because they will feel confident that they know already the basics and they can move easily through the advanced content. And it's probably very easy to imagine, but in a retention checklist, you should enter content that is a little bit more challenging for your users or a little bit more advanced, so they can experience something that will give them some extra motivation to stay with you. And if we now check the initial start mode, we have two options. One is the auto start and the other one is on click. I will recommend to use auto start with the beginners, with the new users, and on click for the already experienced users, because they will know when they want to activate the checklist and go through the content. One more option in here, we have the display mode, and that means that the launcher of the checklist can be floating on the screen or it can be embedded, meaning that you will have it integrated in your layout. And if you want this option, you have the documentation in here, so you can explore better how that works. But now guys, here is where the magic happens, because in here we have the segmentation. And I'm sure for many of you this is important. And of course, if you have some already question in mind about the segmentation, don't hesitate to ask in our Q&A section, because we will answer to all those doubts or whatever is coming through your mind. But okay, the segmentation is very important, and I'm really recommending to work with that, because it's the way that you can divide your audience and address your onboarding content way better, so it will be more effective. To do so, you need to come to this section for the checklist and add condition, because that's the way that the segmentation works. And just for me to give you an easy example, because we are talking about new users and old users or advanced user, as you want to call them, to address the checklist to those users, you need to add a condition. And when I click on it, there is a default one that is username. You can see that if you scroll in here, you have many already set it up for you. And in this specific case, we will use user property, and we will go to the second section, and we will choose the sign up date. I'm choosing the sign up date because it's the easiest way to define how a user is a new one or is an old one. So for example, if I choose sign up date and I go to was no more than 14 days. In this case, you see, this type of segmentation will tell me that the users are very fresh because they are navigating in your application. They just signed up 14 days ago. So I would consider to use this type of segmentation criteria for an onboarding checklist that is oriented towards acquisition. But because in this specific case right now, we are creating an onboarding checklist for advanced users for retention, it will be better to use a different range of time. For example, here I chose 40 days. This is something that is definitely up to you, but it's a very easy way to divide your audience, and it will definitely be effective because it's important to differentiate the checklist. And don't worry, guys, if you have more questions about the segmentation, please write it down. We will do our best to go through everything. I will just move on. So for those who are, creating right now, they can also follow up better. This section in here, it's has the goal to let you show the checklist and specific pages on your website, so you can specify the URLs here. In my case, I don't want to touch it, but it's important that you have to know that you have this opportunity. And it's everything for section 1. So let's move to the second section, the one for adding content. As you can see, I already have some content placed in here, and those are feature tours. Indeed, The first option, the first button, allows you to add a tour, the second to add a link, and the third one to add an API item. We will focus on the first two, so let me show you how they work. As soon as I click on add a tour, we have the new item line, it's a default line, and you can see the preview that already is adding an item. By selecting from this drop-down, you can add a tour, and you can specify here the title that your users will see. So please be careful with that so they can understand exactly what's inside of it. So I will again write test users. And we have also the opportunity to write a short description under the tour name. And you can see it in here. I don't want it now. And you can also choose to relaunch the content after the completion, meaning that if the user already went through the feature tour and they watch it all, the system will mark it out. But if they want, by clicking this option, they will be able to see it again. And the way how the system knows that the content is completed and have to mark it out is by these two options in here. So the first one says that the content is completed when it's actually the tour finished, or you can set up some rules. And these rules, they work the same way as the segmentation. So once you will see how the segmentation works and you will try it out, it's going to be super easy also to set rules in here. So don't worry, it's very simple. And we can also try to add a link, so you can imagine how to add a video tutorial. It's also very good to have a video tutorial in the checklist because it's still something that will drive your users towards the process. And when they experience the process, they understand why they are with you. And in here, you can place again the URL of your video tutorial, and I recommend you to stick the tab new tab. So when they will click on the title, for example, like a video tutorial, it will open in a separate page and they will not lose everything they are doing in the current page. So just, to give you a heads up. You have space for description. There is the content that can be reloaded again. And that's it. So it's very simple to create a checklist. And this is how to add the content. Now we are at the last section number 3. And then we have time for your questions. So I hope you guys are enjoying so far. Do you like it? If you want to share your feedback right now, we will, it will be important for us. But yeah, if you have questions as well. And let's see what's inside in here. It's the last part. So yeah, we are almost there. In the pop-up settings in here, you can define the message that goes under the title. You can see it here in the preview. And this message, it's very motivational. So I hope you guys are, just give some moments to think about how to design this type of content. Think about which kind of feature tours or video tutorials are very important for your users, but also try to find something motivational to, push them to go through the checklist. Because as soon as they go through the checklist, they will be much less likely to leave your application. So this is a great way to keep them with you. And in the dismiss text field, you can define the message that will be on this button. And this button is for the user to dismiss your checklist. And once they click on it, there's going to be another window with a confirmation text that you can also specify in here. Last section that we have is you remember, right? The final message, the confetti, you can define it in here. So at this point, guys, you know everything about the checklist. Okay, almost everything, but you know everything that is very meaningful and that will help you to create a great one. Of course, when you will be ready to publish, you can just turn on this button. And of course, don't forget to save. Those are the everything you need to know. And I think now we have time for a little bit of questions. So let me see, I can see that my colleague already replied to, to the answer. And I know that this is something that many times I can see that Dana was asking for, how can I adjust colors and branding? Well, this is a very good question. Thanks, Dana. And I can show you guys how that works. We have in here a section called Look and Feel. And by adjusting here, by entering your colors, the one from your brand, you will definitely have a better experience for your users, because they will see that actually your colors are matching the one from the application of Product Fruits, and they will not notice the difference. They will just feel that your application is very well done, is very curated and professional, so it will elevate their experience with you. And it's very simple to customize your content in here. And I would say that, so we have one more. Just let me go to the checklist. Somebody, Mire, was asking, can a single tour have its own checklist, or are tours exclusively derived from a checklist? So somebody, like, maybe some of you already read the answer, but it's actually good to share it with all of you guys, because, you know, we also recommend to create tours, but in general, to guiding your user only through the most important features. But it's important also to have them start the tours from the checklist. So, you know, it's a good way to implement it there. And, you know, even if you want to have a tour that is a standalone, have it in the checklist is a good refresher for them. And I will tell you more that we also suggest to place feature tours or tours in general in the live ring button. We are going to see it immediately, like in a few minutes. And the reason for it is because sometimes people, like users, are going to see the content, the tours, maybe once, then they will, you know, don't come to your application for a certain time. And when they come back, they completely forgot everything. So it's very good to place the same tour in different places. And for example, inside a hint, inside the checklist as a standalone, but also in the live ring button. So they can have the opportunity to, you know, recall that content, watch it again, and finally get that information. So yeah, I hope that's something that you guys will try, and maybe you will tell me in the next webinar if it's working or not. But I think now, because I don't want to take too much of your time, we can see what is a live ring button and how that works. The live ring button that FitnessPlayer is using is this one. Yeah, there is a launcher, and then you have again a pop-up window. And the live ring button, you can consider it as well as a help center. And the reason for it is because it's a single access point for all your content that can support the users. You can imagine actually as a library, you know, a library where your user can access the content anytime. And I'm saying anytime because, as I said before, you can create a checklist, and the checklist will be here. But as soon as the user is dismissing the checklist, it's not going to be here anymore. And if they come back after a certain time, let's say after 10 days or whatever it can be, because not everybody has, you know, that freshness to keep the content. They will not know where to find the information, where to find the tours and your guides. So they can actually have this helper on the screen every time they are going to connect in your application. And in here, they will find all the useful information. You can place in there feature tours, video tutorials, even the same that you had in the checklist, you can add it in here. And plus, you can have your manuals, your link to the important, for example, article, to the frequent asked question, or even they can book a demo. So the live ring button, the help center, is something that definitely gives your user great support, and a constant one. So they will never feel that you let them down. And that's why we thought it was important to show you how to create a help center. And I hope you guys are enjoying so far. And again, if you want to share your questions about the live ring button, please do it. We will have a little bit more time after, the creation of it, so we can see how it actually works. And so let's see how to create one. We have to switch back to the administrator page that is in here. We have to navigate to the widget section and to the live ring button one. So now it's gonna load. And as before, we have menus. This time they are 4. So the first time is related to the button and pop-ups. So in here, you can define how the launcher is going to be, or how the header is going to be in the pop-up. Then we will define how to add the content to it. In the third section, we will decide if we want to have this button and what they are, and we will see it in details. And the last section, number 4, is the funny part, I will call it, where you can set up your colors, define where you want to place the live ring button, and make it very nice, so it's very appealing. As before, we start from section 1. We can check that. We can see that the first option, I hope you guys are still with me and you are enjoying and understanding, what is important to do. But if not, don't hesitate to ask. I'm really, I really would like that you get the best out of it. So yeah, I hope you're doing well there. And anyway, I was saying we have a launcher, and the launcher is actually the small button. So in here, you can define the name of it. And in here, the example, the preview is this one. It can be also movable. So if I tick this one, there is going to be an arrow that will allow your user to take the launcher and move it on the screen. That could be useful if your application is very rich in features, and sometimes the launcher can cover something meaningful for the users, so they can actually move it where it doesn't bother. But otherwise, you can leave it as it is, and it will work very well. Having a badge is basically having a number or a dot that will indicate, it will appear in here, and it will be the indication for the user that they have to go through some content. So there are still things that they can finish. You can also specify in here in which URL you want the live ring button to appear. And then we have the pop-up. The pop-up is basically the window. And you can customize the title, you can customize the icon. And in here, you can also have something that is very cool, I believe. Let's say that if you are using a product fruits knowledge base, you can mark this tick box, and this search bar will appear. And that will allow your users to go through your content by simply like they do it with Google, right? Like, oh, I want a music playlist, never write playlist there, and all the content related to that will show up. And this is very handy because, they can find basically everything in the live ring button this way, and they will find it in one click. So it's super convenient. And with that, we went through the first section already. So let's move to the second one. And in the second section, there is more content that we can adapt. There are groups, header, tours, link, videos, and article. In all the content that you can see in here is the one that you see in the preview. And for example, if I click on the header, you can see that it corresponds to this title in here. And under it, I placed some content. And the reason is that I decided to make it like, as we said, this is kind of like a library, and it's nice to have paragraph and to find some sub-element inside of any paragraph, so user can navigate it better, just to make it more clear for them. And the way how you add the elements under the header is the same as before. You will simply come here, and when you click on the item, for example, add a tour, you can define then the tour that you want to enter there. You can place the name of it, and you can mark it finished when the tour is finished. And of course, like as you can see, we are using the same logic that it was before in the checklist. So you can apply the same way of working to it. And the same goes, for example, if you want to add an article, if you create it already in Product Roots, you will just have to select it and you will be able to add it. You can give it a title, of course, that will be the one that the users will see. And if you also want to add video tutorials, it works exactly in the same way. That's why I'm telling you that it's very intuitive, and once you will start getting familiar, then it will come kind of natural. So I hope you guys, you are not scared, and you will try to create a live ring button as soon as possible for the benefit of your users. And now we go to section 3. In section 3, we can we define which kind of button we want and if we want them. You can also decide to not have them, but if you are, for example, using a third-party chat application, you can integrate it in the layout of the help center, and that will be so convenient because, as I said, the help center can be a single access point for all the support that you offer to your user, and having there the chat button is just like, the cherry on top. And you can also have the integration with the feedback widget. And the feedback widget allows your users to, for example, take a screenshot or a video of your application while they are navigating. And this is extremely helpful when they are experiencing an issue. So imagine that your support is off because it's very late in the night, but your users are still having issue and they don't know, how to communicate it with you. So they can actually come here, open the feedback button. They will have the opportunity to screenshot and take a video, and then everything that they are capturing will be sent to you via webhook, via Outlook, or even via Slack. So when your support come back to work, they will check, we have all this issue that was reported. They will have a nice preview, and it's going to be way easier for them, both for your users to get a fast reply and for your support to go through all the concerns. But yeah, as I said, you can have none, you can have one, you can have both. It's definitely up to you what is more convenient. And the last section, so I hope you guys are still with me. We are very much there. Again, it's about the design. I will never stress enough how nice it is to see an onboarding flow that is very well matching your color story and your application. It gives a very great experience to your users. So you will spend 5 minutes to personalize it, but it will make a huge difference. So I hope you guys will just come here and just play around. It's gonna be very nice. And yeah, again, at the end of it, you save it, you make it visible for your audience, and that's it. You will have a nice live ring button as this one, and it will work beautifully, and it will be there for all your users. So it's going to be very much convenient. And that was definitely everything that I could share with you about live ring button. I think it's, again, a great combination together with the checklist. So don't forget to use everything together. I want to mention, guys, that, okay, sorry, I have so much to share, but something that is also important for us, we are going to check your questions right now if you have any, but also we would like to ask you your opinion for the next webinar. There is going to be a poll that my colleague is preparing, and if you want to share what is your preference for the next content of the webinar, it will be amazing because we love to hear your thoughts. And if you have something that you would like to go through, it's important for us. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'm gonna read the answers right now if there are some more. And of course, even if you wanna have questions later on about something that you saw in the webinar, you can always write us, and we will definitely reply to you. And we have already some answers. Maybe I can share them. And oh no, we are sharing them already, I think. Sorry guys, it's new to me. but I can see that a lot of votes went for the knowledge base. That is something that is also very exciting to me to prepare for you guys. So thanks for voting for that one. Then we have a lot of votes for the announcements. Those are pretty cool. And then we have survey segmentation and how to design the content. So, well, thanks for sharing that. It's super cool. We will definitely come back to you. And I think also there are no more questions. And also my colleague was answering to all of yours that already came in. I think we are good to go. So guys, if you're still here, I definitely say thank you a lot for your time and for, you're willing to share. And yeah, it was lovely. So I hope to see you again in the next webinar. Thank you so much and have a lovely day wherever you are. Bye-bye. And yeah, we'll stop sharing.